YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a review video, and as you can see I don't have anything in my hands because I'm wearing what I'm going to review. Now, some people may be able to pick up on it, but I highly doubt it on the camera, so I will go ahead and show you. It is the Fobus paddle holster, and this one is for the HiPoint C9. So, well, not had the gun in it in a while, so it's a little stiff, but for the sake of the video, no magazine, chamber is empty. We'll set that aside for the moment. So this is a paddle holster. Of course, I generally wear a belt, which I will be doing a review on this belt at a later date, but it is actually fairly decent as far as retention. It is a passive retention system that it basically kind of holds on to the firearm around the trigger guard. You have the nice wide paddle to it. The back of it is kind of like a rubberized, so I highly recommend wearing an undershirt with it to put a layer between you and your skin, or between this and your skin, so it doesn't chafe you and whatnot. It would sweat you in the summertime if you're in a high heat climate. It is molded Kydex. The reason I bought this one is because if you've watched any of my videos, I think I might have mentioned it before, but the HiPoint C9 was the first handgun that I've owned. And so I really wanted a good holster that was made specifically for the HiPoint, because at the time I had a motorcycle, and that was basically my only vehicle at the time. I mean, if my wife wasn't working, I could borrow her car, but the main reason I bought, which she actually bought the HiPoint for me, because I'd been, I'd like to have a handgun, because at the time, being on the motorcycle, 95% of the time I was riding by myself. So I wanted a handgun to have with me on account. You end up way out in the middle of nowhere where you may or may not have cell phone service, and you never know who or what you're going to run into sometimes. So I wanted a means of self-protection. So, like I said, I went down to Kentucky Outdoors, is one of the local gun stores. I think I gave about $35 out the door at the time, around about that price range. So it's not an overly expensive holster, but like I said, I wanted something specifically for the HiPoint that had good retention. And because, like I said, riding on that motorcycle, I wanted to be able to put it on my side and know that I don't have to worry about my firearm falling out somewhere along the road. So, which it has really good retention. You saw, where I've not had it in the holster for a while, it's still, it's kind of pulled itself back, and it will come out. I mean, if you, what was that quote? When you need a firearm for protection, you need it in a hurry. So I mean, you're in a situation where you need it. You're not going to be sitting here, just pulling. You're going to rip it out of the holster. I mean, really, with a force and authority. Now, I will say that when I first bought this holster, got it home, opened the box, read all this paperwork on it because I'm a nerd like that. I took the HiPoint and I put it down in the holster to check the fit, and it took me 2 hours to get it back out because it held onto it that tight. I mean, both hands could not get it out. What I ended up doing is I took the firearm and I set it up on top of the gun cabinet for about a month. And after it had been in the holster, the Kydex kind of relaxes, and so it loosens its grip a little bit. And I mean, if you was to if I was to carry this daily in this holster, draw would be smooth as silk, because I did used to carry it in this holster, and when you're using it daily, it stays in the holster. That kind of relaxes a little bit, and then your draw is really nice and smooth with this holster, which I know that's a subjective thing, but I really like it. And then again, it being a paddle holster, the nice thing about a paddle holster is I generally wear a belt. One, to carry all the junk that support all the junk that I carry with me on a daily basis. My wife says she doesn't see how I do it, but it's what I'm used to. I've always carried a crap ton of stuff with me because I'm just one of those weirdos that's like, well, this is useful, this is useful, this is useful, this is useful, because I can see, well, and a lot of it I have used day to day. There's some stuff that I carry because I hope to God I never need it. But when I do need it, I need it bad. This being one of them. But the point I was getting to before I went on a tangent was that the nice thing about a paddle holster is that if you wear a belt, especially something that is duty rated, is going to hold the weight of a firearm, it makes it that it works just as well as most other systems. But the thing is, say someone knocks on your door at 3 a.m. in the morning, you ain't gonna put your belt on. You're gonna grab the firearm off the nightstand, and you're just gonna take and just tuck it in the waistband of your pants. You can wear a paddle holster without having to have a belt. This is advantageous for people that don't really like belts. Ladies, I know paddle holsters are generally fairly good for ladies, especially if you wear a skirt or something like that. You can put this in on the hem of your skirt, put your blouse over top of it, and go on. Now, of course, a HiPoint C9 may not be the best weapons platform for if you're not wearing a belt, because it is slightly heavy. It weighs. One of the gripes that everybody has about the HiPoint C9 is the weight on it. Honestly, to me, it doesn't really weigh any more, even fully loaded, than a 5-inch 1911 that I carry on a daily basis. But it being the HiPoint C9, which I know I'm giving a little more information than it's supposed to be the holster review, but this review is for the holster for the C9. But as far as concealability, with just a light t-shirt, you can see it does print a little bit, but you can, especially, but that's the problem you're going to have with all outside waistband holsters, whether it be a paddle style, belt style. If it's an outside waistband holster, it is going to print under light clothing. Now, if you go to a inside waistband style holster, it's not going to print as much. But just under a t-shirt, just about any firearm is going to print. You put a jacket over it, hoodie over it, summertime, you could wear your concealment vest. Go to the flea market and buy you a nice leather vest. They're really nice. I used to wear a leather vest all the time in the summertime for riding. And you put a leather vest on, just something loose. If you don't want to wear a vest, maybe maybe just like a loose t-shirt. There's all kinds of information about how to dress for concealed carry. And everybody the best advice would be to dress around the gun. Oh, you want to pick the firearm that you can use well, and then build your concealed carry platform around that. So at the time, that's the gun I had. That's what I was working around. But so the HiPoint C9 was the firearm that I had. I was building my carry platform around that. Now, when I bought the holster, I didn't have concealed carry in mind, to be completely honest with you. Because in the state of Kentucky, you're allowed to open carry a firearm without having a license. If you conceal carry, you have to have your concealed carry deadly weapons license. At the time, I didn't have a concealed carry, so when I carried the HiPoint, it was like that. I bought it with open carrying in mind. Now, since then I have acquired my concealed carry license, namely because you have a riding jacket on or something, you have to make sure to keep that jacket tucked behind the firearm. If your jacket was to fall over the firearm while you're riding, you're now illegal. But like I said, I bought this. These work really well for range holster systems. They work well for open carry systems, especially. Now I wouldn't recommend it in. Now, just for civilian carry, these work fine. Now, if you're in a profession such as law enforcement or something of that nature, you'd want to look at something with more retention, because, like I said, this is just a passive retention. It holds around the trigger guard. It does not have any kind of thumb brakes. It doesn't have any internal locks that keep the firearm from being stripped from you out of the holster. It does hold fairly well against the body. Like I said, the retention is good on it. The build quality is good, which right there you can see it comes out really well. The holstering is pretty positive. You kind of feel it in that tension build, and then it clicks. It's not really an audible click, but you can definitely feel it when you go to draw. Which I'm terrible slow draw for demonstration, but just a good authoritative pull. I have a habit of making, where I'm usually concealed carry, I have a habit of taking my offhand, either making, which your offhand would clear your garments, or you could clear and then make sure your holster stays put as you draw. But just to give you a demonstration of that, which, back to concealed carry. See, that's really the biggest downside of a paddle holster, is that you really want to make sure that you are securing that, because even with a belt, it came off. That's where a belt system, something that actually physically attaches to your belt, has an advantage. But doing it again, clear, come in with your thumb on top of the holster, which I'm not practiced with this holster forever, but see, little practice, always practice. Of course, when reholstering, clear, watch it go in, make sure there's nothing that can get behind the trigger. So I guess now that I've talked you to death, I'll bring you in a little closer and give you an actual look at the way the holster is made. Now, like I said, it is made out of Kydex. I think Fobus holsters are actually made in Israel. One thing I want to note is that on the HiPoint model for the C9, which I think it fits the 9mm, this one I believe fits the 9mm and the 380, because they're basically the same platform, just different chamberings. But on the HiPoint C9, your thumb safety works as a slide stop. So right here, with that on, your slide can't come back. So you have to engage it into the safe position to use the Fobus paddle holster in it, because if not, when you go to holster it, it will push your slide out of battery. So you always want to safety on before you holster. So we'll come in close now and give you a good look at the build quality on it. Okay, so here we are with a bit of a close-up view of it. As I've stated probably a couple times by now, it is made out of Kydex. You do have right here the Fobus like badge logo. You have your designation right here. It says HP-2. So I'm going to assume that it's the HP would be that it would be your HiPoint, which is black on black, so I said it's probably going to be hard to see. But as far as your construction, all your joints are riveted. All your joints are riveted on here, which sorry, I'm having to get directions for the camera to stay in frame. But your joints are riveted. It looks like 1, 2 on top and 2 on the bottom. Now this is not an adjustable retention holster. So as far as your retention level, it is what it is. Like I said, when this thing was brand new, it literally took me 2 hours to get the firearm back out of the holster the first time. I mean, it does have a lot of retention. And you can see I've had this one shelved and I've not really been using it. So you can see I've had a little bit of trouble getting it out of the holster, but with use, which like I said, this one's kind of wore in. It's not near as bad as it was when it was new, but with use, it does kind of loosen up. It doesn't get loose, as in your gun's going to fall out, but it smooths out, so to speak. Now, for your paddle attachment, your paddle is riveted on with 3 rivets, and on the back of it you have a little steel piece for reinforcement, which I really like. And then you can see this red rubberized texture stuff. That's to help basically help the paddle stay, or help keep the holster where it's supposed to be and keep it from pulling out with the gun. Then let's see, am I in frame? Right here you have your pathway for your belt to go through, which you have these two you have a ledge on each side that kind of helps to catch on the outside of your belt when you're wearing one. I guess you can kind of tell it is curved, so it does conform to your body pretty well on the side. Let's see. One thing I really did like about it is right here. It actually has a notched out spot, and that is so that way the holster never contacts your sights while the gun is being put in or took out. Which I really like that, because depending on what study you look at, most people say they don't, ever see the sights in a need to deploy the firearm situation. But I mean, you still don't want to wear your sights out on your gun from the holster. Which on the HiPoint, I've seen very minimal holster wear from this. All in all, it is a very good holster, very good quality. I guess you can see right here where your trigger guard goes in. You can see how it has that indentation. That indentation, as you push the gun inside of it, that indentation will cause your this piece right here to spread, and then the Kydex wanting to retain its shape will kind of snap back, and right there, and that indentation behind your, it kind of captures around your trigger guard, and that's what holds it in. What else is there? I mean, it's, like I said, it's really well constructed. I've had this holster for probably 5 years or better. I mean, a little bit of rust on some of the steel parts, you know, like the rivets. I mean, just from carrying it and, you know, them in the elements. But I mean, there's not a whole lot of maintenance that has to be done to a Kydex holster. I mean, maybe wipe it off every once in a while. One thing I do want to note is that the muzzle end of it is open. So, I'll just go ahead and, again, empty, no magazine. Kind of show you the fitment on it, which, like I said, this is for the 9mm and the 380, but it slides in and it just locks into place. I mean, it literally fits like a glove. I have been so happy with the build quality on this. And then what I was talking about is right here on this edge. I find that if I put my thumb on top of that to brace it and pull out with authority, it kind of helps with unholstering. But like I said, as far as holstering the firearm, like I said, always, you know, safety on to lock the slide, and then it just fits like a glove. So we will zoom back out and we will wrap this up. So one thing that I almost forgot to mention is that the way that the firearm rides in the holster. Of course, you know, it being a paddle holster, it rides, you know, for me it rides pretty well. The Fobus paddle holster, which I'm not sure this is across all makes and models that they have, but it does have a forward cant to it. So it, your grip is actually tilted forward, which works really well for me because that's what I like. I actually just recently bought a new holster for a new paddle holster for my 1911, and one of the first things I've done was adjust it for a forward cant position. I just like the forward cant because it helps. It's more comfortable to me. The firearm kind of conforms to my personal shape a little better, which is, you know, kind of round. But all in all, it's been a really good investment. Which, you know, when you buy a holster, especially one that you know, if you're going to just leave the gun at the house, or you know, just something to protect it to and from the range, yeah, go cheap. You know, there's no reason to spend a lot of money on a really high quality holster for something that's never going to be used. More as a, got tongue tied. There's no point in paying high dollar for something that's never going to be more than just a dust cover. But if you plan on carrying the firearm, even if it's just, just occasionally while you're out in the woods, buy something that is good quality. Now, I'm not saying go out and spend $60, $80, $100 or more, because there are some that are way, way higher on a holster system. Like I said, this cost me like $35, but it is a good quality holster. Do your research, which is part of why I'm making this video. Like I said, I've had this one probably 5, maybe 6 years now. It's held up really well. It's done everything I've asked it to. The retention is really good on it. Sometimes too good. It is generally comfortable to wear. I've not really had any issues with it. You know, paddle holsters may not work for paddle holsters don't work for everyone. Same way with belt holsters don't work for everyone. Ankle holsters don't work for everyone. Shoulder holsters don't work for everyone. You have to find what is comfortable for you. Because if it's not comfortable, you're not going to use it. Just end of the line. And it don't do you any good to spend $100+ on something that you leave at the house. the whole point of having a good holster is to enable you to comfortably and securely carry your firearm with you for self-defense. And this $35 Fobus paddle holster does the job for me. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I neglected to say about it. I think that more or less sums up. I do want to state that I bought the holster myself. I'm not sponsored by Fobus or HiPoint for that matter. What you see, I've purchased myself. I'm not sponsored, not connected in any way to either company. This is just my honest opinion as a user of the product, wanting to pass along the information that I have gained, so that hopefully it helps somebody else on down the road. Thank you for watching, and I guess this is the part where I say I'm gonna leave a like. The thumbs up is helpful, and if you want to see more stuff, subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and have a good day.